Welcome to Ponderosa North for the love of Bonanza. Today I'm going to poke a little fun at the show. These are just observations I've had over the years. A lot of it is 60s TV related, but it's kind of funny. I think they're funny. I hope you do too. And I've labeled it, did you ever notice that? And let's get going. Did you ever notice that it rained twice? That's probably stretching it, but it never rained. There was a bit of snow, but never rain. Did you ever notice that when they changed the theme song in 1970, that it was remarkably close to Little House on the Prairie theme song? I'm going to play you the theme song. I hope this works for the new theme song that came out in 1970. Here we go. Yeah, so I'm not sure why they changed it. I guess they figured they wanted to update. It was a new decade. They changed sort of the whole start of the show, which I'm going to do an entire show on that too. Let's go back to, did you ever notice that? Did you ever notice that the Cartwright's favorite snack was an apple? Yeah, there was a huge bowl of apples on the coffee table, and often Hoss and Little Joe would partake in an apple. That was their favorite snack. Did you ever notice that during the fight scenes, the Cartwrights never reloaded their weapons? They just kept going and going. That was a 60s thing. That happened on Mission Impossible and Hawaii Five-0, and they just kept firing and firing. Gunsmoke, same thing. They just kept firing and firing. Did you ever notice that the Cartwrights were always clean shaven, even when they were stranded in the desert or on a cattle drive? They were always clean shaven. There were a few exceptions, I know, but they were baby soft. They had beautiful, soft faces. Did you ever notice that Hop Sing walked funny? He did have sort of a funny gait. I don't know where. Victor Sun Young must have developed that somehow. The next thing I'm going to mention is the Bonanza Betty and Bobby game. I want you to take a look at this face. This is Bobby Miles, and he was Michael Landon's stunt double. But he was also featured in just about every episode in the first 5 years. Sometimes he's on a posse, or he's in the town, or he's a bad guy, he's a good guy, he's a cowhand. Whenever you see Bobby's face, you get to have a drink or a snack if you don't drink. And the other person featured is the lovely Betty Endicott. She was Pernell Roberts' stand-in. Take a look at this face. You will see her in just about every episode of the first 5 seasons, or whenever Pernell was there. When he left, she left. But she's sometimes a saloon girl. Sometimes she's just in the town. Sometimes she's on a wagon. There she is as Pernell's stand-in. Not to be confused with stunt double. She just stood in for lighting and blocking and that kind of thing. So whenever you see lovely Betty, you get to have a drink. That is what I call the Bonanza Bobby and Betty drinking game. Okay, let's move on. Did you ever notice that they had all the money in the world, but they only could afford 2 sets of clothes? Yes, they had their clothes that they always wore behind me, and for Sunday. They had a Sunday dress or weddings or whatever. But I'll tell you something. Ben Cartwright was a smart dressed man. When he got dressed up, he was amazing. He had these beautiful silk satin vests. He was sharp. He really knew how to dress up. What do they call it? He dressed up nice, or he cleaned up nice is what I'm trying to say. Did you ever notice that Hoss invited every derelict he ran into home for supper? Well, they all did that. They're always inviting people home. Come home. We'll take care of you. Don't worry. We'll take care of it. Did you ever notice that the Ponderosa had no outhouse or not even a commode? No wonder Adam left. Again, that's like a 60s thing. They didn't think about those kinds of human things that people have to do. Did you ever notice that little Joe was constantly being reminded to keep his feet off the furniture? Constant. You think he'd learn, but he'd be sitting on the settee with his feet up, and his father would walk by and go, Joseph, feet on the floor. Happened all the time. Did you ever notice that Hopsing called everybody Mr. except Joe? He called Mr. Cartwright, Mr. Adam, Mr. Haas, and just Little Joe. I don't know why he didn't call him Mr. Little Joe, but I guess he was too young to be called a Mr. I don't know. Did you ever notice the Indian head that made its rounds? I tried to get a picture of it. I couldn't find a picture of it, but it appears everywhere. In Joe's bedroom, in bars, in saloons, and other people's houses. So keep your eye out for the Indian head portrait. You can have a drink when you see that too. Did you ever notice you always knew who was home by whose hat was in the hat rack on outside the door, inside the door there? Yes, if there was no hat on the hat rack, then they weren't home. That person wasn't home. Did you ever notice they didn't have a dog? I just thought if any family should have a dog, it was the Cartwrights. The cattle dog, at least. Did you ever notice they always ordered beer in a bar and drank wine and brandy at home? Except Adam, who usually drank whiskey in a bar. Yeah, they never drank beer at home. I guess they had no refrigeration, but, you know, I guess they could have if they could afford it. I don't know why they didn't. Did you ever notice that there was a drafting table and rolls of architectural drawings in the corner of Adam's bedroom? Yes, here it is. Right there in that picture, the detail in the back. And also there's a, he's got a drafting table there, and he's also got a portrait of a building, some sort of ancient building. Probably spent hours and hours up there drafting, plotting and planning. Did you ever notice that Haas's favorite expression was, ain't that right, Pa? Or ain't that right, Joe? Or ain't that right, Adam? He seemed to have a little trouble with confidence when he made decisions and so on. Did you ever notice that they ate roast beef at home but steak at a restaurant? They never ate steak at home. They were cattle ranchers. Why wouldn't you eat steak? I don't know why. They also ate a lot of pork chops and a lot of chicken and rabbit, Gerby Royal rabbit. We can't forget that. Did you ever not notice that no matter where the Cartwrights were on their 1,000-square-mile ranch, which was the size of Rhode Island, Hopsing could always find them to tell them they were late for supper. He always found them. I don't know how he knew where they were, but he could always find them. Did you ever notice that even though they were in countless amounts of fights, they never had a scar or lost a tooth? No, they were always pristine. And Joe was shot more than any human could endure. He was shot everywhere in his body, as well as on the Ponderosa. So I don't know how he survived. He was shot at least 3 or 4 times a season. Did you ever notice that you always knew Michael Landon had written an episode because you're in tears by the time the 3rd commercial break? Yeah, Michael Landon knew how to tear on those heartstrings. He was a pro at that. He had you in tears very easily. He was a good crier too. Did you ever notice that they lived a hop, skip, and a jump away from Lake Tahoe, but they never went swimming? Look at this place. Seriously? Occasionally Haas went fishing, but I know it's a mountain lake. I know it's cold, but go for a swim, boys. Seriously. Love Lake Tahoe. It's the most beautiful place on earth. Did you ever notice that they would disguise the Ponderosa as other people's houses? I hated that. It was so obvious. They just have the carpenters come in and build a new porch or something and a new door in a different spot, but it was always the Ponderosa. Did you ever notice that Hopsing never made Chinese food? But he made a really good Irish stew. Did you ever notice that when Adam comes home in the middle of an episode, he's always got bad news? This is funny because this happened in 4 episodes. My Son, She Walks in Beauty, The Countess, and The Courtship. He'd come in halfway through and everybody's happy and go, oh, Adam's home. He'll come in and go, Pa, can I see you for a minute? got bad news. Did you ever notice that Adam was the leader when Ben wasn't there? Yeah, that was just so blatant. When the three boys were together, Adam was the lead. If there was any problem or any issue, Hoss and Little Joe were like, this is your problem. You take it, elder son. So that's it for Did You Ever Notice That? Poking a bit of fun at the show. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.